So, when preparing Zereshk Polo, the first thing you need to do is measure out as much rice as you want. Half cup per person is a good rule of thumb. Put it in a bigger bowl, cover it with water, and add some salt. Give it one mix, and then just let it sit, soaking the rice. Next, a good idea is always to clean your Zereshk. So all you have to do for that is you take a bowl of the Zereshk that's clean. Fill it with water and sift out the Zereshk that has fallen to the bottom and the sand and dirt and sticks and any other garbage you would find in it. Give it a little mix. And all you do is with your hand take the top floating Zereshks and put them somewhere else. Throw out anything that's left at the bottom, one with the dirt. Now you've got clean Zereshk. Okay, here we go. Welcome back. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and chopped an onion. Doesn't matter how coarse or fine, you chop it however you want, as well as 2 large carrots. Next we also have the frying pan heating up behind us. We're going to throw some stuff in there in a second. We've got some saffron in this dish that we need to dilute into water. So you're going to take some very hot water. And while that's warming up, I'm going to cut this open and chop up some chicken. So you're going to take this very hot water and this tiny dish of saffron, just about a teaspoon, maybe just over amount. You don't need that much water. And you're going to... just too much. You're going to fill the little dish. Now you see the color has already started to change. Saffron will stain everything. So be careful with it. It's also very expensive, so be careful with it. Now, this other chicken here is defrosted. And in the meantime, frying pan's almost heated up. Get that going a little bit faster. And we're going to throw both the onions as well as the chicken into the hot frying pan. So while that's heating up, I'm going to chop this chicken into nice bite-sized bits. So next, our frying pan's heated up, we're going to add in these onions. Let them start cooking. Okay. Hand before you touch anything, keep your hand clean poultry. Go for a little salt, a little pepper, and lid it. Doesn't have to be tight on, but just enough that heat stays in. Let that go. I'm back to chopping. Alright, ready? So, along with the onions, we're going to throw in these chicken we just cut up. Spread them out nice and even so everything can cook. let all the flavors mix. You might want to add a little more oil. Along with the oil, you want to season the chicken nicely, salt and pepper. As well as some turmeric for color. And all you want to do is half cook the chicken to get a nice color on it, a nice glaze. So when we add it to water later to stew. So this is a quick process. And you can do the chicken separately from the onion, but I think some flavor is added in things like this. And if the chicken has the skin on, you leave it on, it tastes better. And you don't want to put a lid on now because that'll steam it. In the meantime, with a small spoon, you want to mix up this saffron, and you see the color getting darker and darker. And the cool thing about this is you can just keep adding water because it's so potent, and you should be able to get this color again and again. But right when it's about red and not yellow or orange is when it's well mixed. Put a little bit. So what I've done is I've filled a large pot in the rear with some water, added a little salt to drop its boiling point, and turned on high heat so it'll boil. Next is soaking water. We will drain out using the oldest method in the book, your hand. And you see a nice bleached water, chlorinated water comes out, and this has cleaned it. Now you've got a little bit of water left at the bottom, so we will drain the rest of that away. And this is ready to go in once the water is boiling for about 45 minutes. Now we've got in the saucepan simmering water, and these chickens here getting a nice color to them. So everything that's in here is now getting transferred over into the saucepan. Chickens, onions, and the juices that come with. And you want to keep this at a high enough heat that it's going to simmer while we add other things, and then put a lid on it. First thing you're going to add is a can of tomato paste. About halfway will do. Mix it up, get everything out of there, and just add that in. You also want to add a few diced tomatoes. The carrots we chopped up from earlier. More salt and pepper. Again, mixing it up first beforehand to make sure everything is nice and uniform. Add it in. Also, you want to squeeze one lemon wedge or two, up to a half at this point. For flavor. Then mix everything together. And at this point, it's a waiting game. You want to watch that water level, make sure it doesn't get too low. And that's all it is. Put the lid on, make sure it stays simmering. So right now we're on high heat. And the saffron and the tomato paste and the turmeric from before will give it a nice color. We'll check in on it every 10 minutes or so. So here we've got this simmering. The water is a little high right now, so I've popped the lid off to let it evaporate away. And the rice is boiling, so bring that down. And add in the rice that we had. Back up, pop the lid on it, let it cook. So now the rice has been boiling for about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how hard you want your rice to come out. You're going to remove that top and drain it. Bring it over. We have colander ready in the sink. Make sure you don't burn yourself. And make sure you get all the rice out of there. And you're going to keep this pot because we're going to use it in a second. What you're going to do with it is you're going to take some oil and line the bottom. And you're going to put that back on the stove with medium heat. And the rice that you just had goes back in. And add some oil there. And personally, You add a little bit of butter as well. You add the butter, fold it in, smooth out the top. You want to create this sort of mountain in the center with the rice. Now again, low to medium heat. Once you have that set up, take your saffron from before and add it to the center. You take a long-handled tool, doesn't matter what, and poke some holes in it. Once that's done, 2 to 3 paper towels, fold it over, go right on top, and pop that lid on top, let it sit. So now we're adding the Zereshk. We've got a pan on heat right now. I'm going to put some butter to it and some oil. Let it move around. And you just bring these Zereshks right in. Spread them along. Now, along with the Zereshk, you're going to throw in saffron and sugar. Now, you want to keep them moving once they start cooking so that they don't burn. Sugar is to taste, and oops, this is the taste that we want. You want to let that sugar just melt into the oil, and if it gets too sticky, you can add a little bit of water, that's okay. But you let them cook until they get nice and plump. You taste it, and if it's where you want it, between sour and sweet, take it off. And if it's not, add some more sugar. And if it's not fragrant enough, add saffron. And you don't want to squish the Zereshks, but just move them along. And spread them thin so everything gets evenly cooked. So now that the rice is tahdiged, and you can see there's a crust around the edge, it's hard, you take a plate that's the same size as the top of the pot, take the rice, and flip. You place it down, tap it a few times, and hope that it all came out in a cake. Now this time it didn't, and the tahdig is still on the bottom, so you need a little bit of a harder spatula to get that out. But there is the rice with the saffron that you made earlier. Here are the Zereshks. Well, it came out a little gooey, so if you want, you can add a tiny bit of water. And let that free itself up. Then any extra Zereshk that anyone would want would be right here.
Yes, okay.
And last but not least, the stew is there and ready. And there's Zereshk Polo.
Thank you, Daniel.